Hello, people. Welcome to BT Media. We'll discuss things in the news going on right now. Let's go.
We came from Mississippi and Texas and Pennsylvania and New York to stand with this family.
Black ranchers CW and Nicole Mallory's story of poisoned animals, racist threats, and what they say is a lack of response from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office has resonated with many across the country.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom!
And their supporters are rallying here at the Colorado State Capitol.
Not all cops are bad. There are men and women who are sworn to serve and what?
Protect!
To do what?
Protect!
To do what?
Protect!
So why haven't they served and protected the Mallorys?
Community leaders spoke during the rally, including state lawmakers.
We want to make sure that whatever needs to happen for protection so that we can get to the bottom of it.
I can't express from the bottom of my heart how much this really means, that to see all of you out here. It's not about color, religion, race, gender. You know, I'm a farmer. I pay more attention to the weather than I do anything else. I just want to farm in peace.
The Mallory's attorney, Tyrone Glover, talked about his plan to make that happen.
There was a press conference earlier this week, and afterwards, they released a scintilla of the discovery and investigative documents that are available.
Indigenous farmers own only 1% of farms in America. After banks not giving loans to some, losing their properties because of finances, and others getting a hold of them, run off the property, or illegal use of the system. Let's continue. This is the way a lot of properties was taken, using financial systems that gave some people whatever they wanted, and others being disenfranchised.
I think it's really disturbing that they didn't address the hate crimes against my family and I, which are the epitome of why we're here today. It was a moment. It does not define who I am. I felt violated.
My firm is awaiting the rest of it.
Glover is referring to a news conference the sheriff's office held where they shared body camera video of Nicole Mallory being combative toward deputies in previous cases. After that, they released dozens of records regarding the Mallorys.
Justice for Mallory!
As protesters marched from the Capitol to City Park, I asked Nicole how she felt about the video.
I think it's really disturbing that they didn't address the hate crimes against my family and I, which are the epitome of why we're here today. It was a moment. It does not define who I am.
Let's continue. We are constantly being told that this is fair. Does this seem fair to you? I don't think so. Our punishment is up, and it's time to get busy. Get going.
I felt violated.
As the protesters make their way to the Dr. Martin Luther King statue, I asked one man what brought him here.
It's been on a 5-year plan of my wife and I to acquire some acreage. And so when I saw the Mallory's plight, this could easily be my family.
Throughout the day,
This is the world we live in.
the Mallorys repeatedly said they no longer feel alone and will continue to fight for safety on their land. CW Mallory says they've lost almost 20 animals due to poisoning or theft. There is a GoFundMe that was started for the Mallorys that has raised over $200,000. Throughout the rally, the Mallorys were calling on state lawmakers to pass the Karen Act, which stands for Caution Against Racially Exploitative Non-Emergencies. The couple says this all began as a dispute with their neighbor, and they think the legislation could prevent future situations similar to their own. We know there are multiple sides to this story, and I want you to know I have reached out to the sheriff's office multiple times for a one-on-one interview, but have been told repeatedly he is unavailable. Reporting in studio, Micah Smith, Denver 7.
And this is a story Denver 7 has been following all week. You can see Micah's previous reporting, including an interview with the Mallorys and a response from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office right now on Denver7.com.
Black farmers are in fear of losing their farms and their crops. They're demanding answers for the $4 billion in aid that they were promised under President Biden's Build Back Better plan. Joining us now is friend to the show, John Boyd Jr., a fourth-generation black farmer, businessman, civil rights activist who wears a mean cowboy hat, and we just love him on this show. Also the president of the National Black Farmers Association. Good morning to you again, and welcome back to Start Your Day. I want to start here. Black farmers You were promised, good morning, you were promised this debt relief. You desperately need this help, but you're getting eviction notices still. And I want to know what the Biden administration has done or not come through on as of today.
Well, I think the administration hasn't had the sit-down meeting that they committed to last July program, where we came back and we thought that we would have the meeting to discuss next steps on the $4 billion in debt relief to Black and other farmers of color. And I would also like to say, as we celebrate Black History Month, if we were white farmers and it was passed for $4 billion in relief, the administration would have taken care of this already. But these Black farmers who are losing their farm, and instead of debt relief that we were promised, the 120% in debt relief, we're now getting farm foreclosure notices, and people say, well, just go to another lending institution to get it. Well, you can't do that if USDA is reporting Black farmers in default, and that's the issue here. So instead of getting debt relief that we was committed to last March, we're now getting farm foreclosure notices and asking them to renegotiate a new deal. There isn't a better deal than 120% for debt relief.
Farmers of color in this country have been waiting since March of last year for $4 billion in pandemic aid they were promised to make up for decades of discrimination. Yesterday, Agricultural Secretary Tom Vilsack gave an update on where that funding stands. During a speech in Georgia at the American Farm Bureau Convention, Vilsack said, "We're filing briefs, we're filing motions, we're doing discovery, we're moving forward so that if something doesn't get worked out in Congress, ultimately judges will make decisions and we'll go from there." The $4 billion in relief have been kept from Black farmers after judges sided with white farmers who argued in court that the debt relief program discriminated against them. Joining me now to discuss is founder and president of the National Black Farmers Association, John Boyd. Mr. Boyd, you've been on the show several times. You have not always had favorable things to say about Vilsack. How do you take his comments in Georgia?
Well, you know, the bottom line, Charles, is that the Black farmers and farmers of color, we still don't have our money. And as I speak today, there are farmers all over this country who are receiving farm foreclosure and demand notices. So instead of getting the actual debt relief that we were eligible for, they're getting notices in the mail that they have to make the payments, that their farm is going to be put up for foreclosure. And that's what we've been fighting against the whole time. And what we didn't hear from the secretary is holding white farmers accountable for suing Black farmers in 12 separate complaints and 12 courts around the country, that the National Black Farmers Association has filed amicus briefs in all of those cases. So we're out here leading this fight and trying to raise money to defend this case in court and to make sure that our voices are heard. And what's being left out of these complaints are the history of discrimination that Black farmers have faced, from slavery to Jim Crow to being able to buy land after the Civil War, and the government stole millions of acres from Black farmers. We're fighting to make sure that those things make it into the documents and federal court in this country. And people need to know we don't want a handout. We want the same as white farmers have been getting for hundreds of years in this country. It's Black farmers who didn't get debt relief, and it's white farmers who have been getting debt relief this whole time. That's what my 30-year campaign was about, trying to get this bill passed, and we finally got it passed. And as I sit here and speak to you, and we spoke a number of times about this, we still don't have the money. And that's been the story of the Black farmer in this country.
So I was reading through some of Vilsack's statements. I didn't read the whole speech, but I read some clips of it. And it you know, instead of addressing straight head on that what was Black farmers had faced was racism, oppression, isolation, discrimination, he was using terms of art like adverse circumstances, whatever. Has that been your experience of dealing with him? It felt to me like he was trying not to offend the other people he was speaking to by forthrightly saying that there was racial oppression that led to these inequities, and we have to address those before we address anything else.
Well, and what I've been saying the whole time is Secretary Vilsack has to address this, the issue of black farmers and discrimination head on. And you really can't play footsie with white farmers in this country, large-scale white farmers who have been getting the whole time. If you're going to address discrimination, you have to take it on head on, and you can't give it window dressing. Someone is spitting on you and calling you racial epithets and only seeing black farmers a certain day of the week. People, it is what it is. It's discrimination. It's wrong. And the only way to fix it in this country is to address it head on. Now, we have to address why these white farmers are suing 12 separate complaints in this country and why they're stopping payments and relief to needy black farmers, deserving black farmers who have been waiting for this relief for decades, people. This isn't a new request by black farmers. It isn't reparations. Right. It's debt that we're eligible for. We should have been getting it the whole time. I should have been getting it. In this county that I live in, we're not getting it. And I'm using myself as an example because I know.
John Boyd, thank you so much for joining us as always. And we will keep track of this and stay on this story. Hopefully this works itself out.
Like, share, subscribe.